Ivy Artist. This is Miss A. I'm here introducing a series of videos. So for this series of videos, I'm interviewing a variety of people. Most of these people were my ex-students. Some of them are practicing artists that I've met along the way. And really, these videos are here to inspire you. They are here to show you where you can take your art education. Not all of you will become artists, but I feel that, you know, art is really, really important no matter what you end up doing later on in life. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really, really enjoy these. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. That inspires us to do more videos that are hopefully of interest to you. This is Miss A. All the best.
Hi, my name is Rachel Mindrup. I'm an artist and art educator who lives in Omaha, Nebraska. I currently am working at Creighton University and Creighton University School of Medicine. I am their Dr. Deming Chair of Medical Humanities. My oldest son was diagnosed at 4 months old with an incurable progressive genetic disorder called neurofibromatosis. You know, when he was diagnosed, I was told not to go home and Google it back in those pre-phone days. But of course I did just that, and it's just not something you want to Google. And so, you know, so for a long time I just tried to forget about it, and that seemed to be okay until he went to kindergarten. So neurofibromatosis has a lot more to it than just tumors. So if you look it up, it will tell you that it encompasses a set of genetic disorders that will grow tumors anywhere in or on your body. But in addition to that, it also comes with a whole other host of unpredictable things. So cognitive issues, it could be scoliosis, could be tibia dysplasia, femoral anteversion, just all sorts of other things that you probably wouldn't initially associate with the disorder. And it's very common. So 1 in 3,000 people have this, making it more common than cystic fibrosis, Tay-Sachs, Huntington's, you know, all of those combined. And yet nobody's heard about it. And I didn't really want to go around telling the world about it either. So, like I said, so I had my son, and until about, you know, kindergarten, I lasted till kindergarten. And then he was just having a lot of issues, fine motor skills. So he can't tie his shoes. He can't cut things that a lot of us just kind of take for granted, like creating artwork. You need some decent fine motor skills for that. That is just not highly detailed, highly rendered work is just not my son's future. Anyway, I set about to try and raise awareness about this disorder in the best way I knew how, which was drawing and painting portraits of people who already have the disorder. And the first person I painted was a man whose name is Reggie Bibbs. He lives in Houston, and he's got some plexiform tumors that really disfigure his face. And so he's lived his life under just constant bullying and ridicule. And he basically, until he was about 42 years old, would just hide out in his apartment because he was just tired of the staring. And the most hurtful when people would just start laughing at him. And then when he was 42, his brother, who outwardly looked fine but internally had tumors, passed away from his NF, and then Reggie said that's about enough. So he came out, stopped hiding around with it, and started a charity called Just Ask, because he knows that you want to know what's going on with his face. So I started with Reggie, and I painted his portrait, and then he posted it on Facebook. And social media being what it is, I started painting more people with NF. And then the next thing I knew, I've just been painting people with NF. And a lot of people, what happens is people will donate to their favorite NF charity. And in return for their donation is, as my thank you, because their donation, of course, helps both them and my son, then I paint their portrait. Pretty slick. So that's currently what I do. I just thought I'd also show you that this is, so I just got done telling you all about Reggie, and now I'm painting Reggie's mom, who is eating Reggie's sweet potato pie that she loves. So that's that's the painting behind me. I do work exclusively from photos. I would prefer to work from life, but because everybody's located all over the world, that's just impossible. So so people submit photos. I just do the best I can with them, and hopefully they like the paintings. Back in those early days of junior high and high school, as most kids, as a lot of kids, I enjoyed drawing. I didn't know anything about painting. I wasn't quite sure how to go about that, but I knew I loved to draw, and I knew I loved paintings. Back in those days, I didn't much care for art museums. I just wanted to create the art. Over time and through college, I learned to actually appreciate a lot of artists who had gone before me, and I learned to actually learn from them. So in high school, I took all the art classes that they allowed us to take back then, which included printmaking. I loved printmaking. I was able to do copperplate acid etching, relief cuts, drawing, a little bit of painting. And then after that, I went on to get my Bachelor of Fine Arts. I wanted to be a studio art major, but I was too nervous, and I was never like the best artist in my class by any stretch. I was good, but I was never like the one that everybody goes crazy about. So I did not major in studio art. I instead thought I should take a safer path. So I majored in graphic design. So I got my BFA in graphic design from the University of Nebraska at Kearney. And I was a graphic designer for quite some time. Well, not really, a few years. But the real dream back then was to go and be an animator for Disney. So I would work on my portfolio, I would send it to LA, I got an interview, and then I ended up going out there and going to an atelier. An atelier is just French for like studio. So I went out there, lived out there, and took a lot of courses so I could learn animation better and learn the mechanics of how animated movies are made. So background painting for animation, quick sketch, character design, perspective and layout, all of those sorts of things. So I did all of that. And when I was out there, I discovered a couple of things. One, that I still love animation, but I am not a very good animator. And two, that is actually where I really kind of learned my love for painting. Like I said, in high school, I did more printmaking. But when and then in college, like I said, because I didn't allow myself to major in what I really wanted to major in, I didn't, I only took one painting course in undergraduate, always wanting to do more. So when I went out to LA, I was lucky enough to take background painting for animation, and I was able to learn from a lot of these Disney animators, and that really sort of spurred my love for the medium and just for painting in general. Where I am today. Well, I wouldn't be here today doing any of this without my art education, and like I said, I was lucky. So very lucky that I had amazing high school art teachers. I loved my high school art teachers. I looked forward to art. That was kind of my happy place. And I was always learning and learning new techniques, new processes. It's kind of funny. I look back at some of my high school art and I'm not sure it's all that wonderful, but I think I had great teachers who at least saw potential and were encouraging. So like I said, because of all that, that's actually why I went and got my undergraduate and got my BFA. Well, all my art education, as far as where does it get me today, I would say from high school, my undergraduate, the atelier in Los Angeles, and then later I went on to the Art Institute of Boston at Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and did a what they call a low residency program. So I was able to go out there for a couple years where they would do residencies, and I was able to meet all sorts of different amazing artists from all over the world, quite honestly. And that was also very instrumental in where I am today as well, because it introduced me to just even the ideas that art can be so much more than just pencils and charcoal pencils and painting and sculpture. We can be thinking much more holistically about what is art, and the concepts behind it, and things of that nature. For me, was this won't sound like anything to you guys listening, but for me, it was kind of hard because I went to a college. I went to the University of Nebraska at Kearney, which is just about 2.5 to 3 hours away from Omaha. This is the part that won't sound like a big deal. So I'm sure if you're listening to this, that doesn't sound very remarkable. But neither my older brother nor my older sister went away for college. They stayed here in town, and they worked, and my brother stayed home, lived with my mom, and so for me to quote unquote go away to college, this was like a big deal, and so I, I did what I don't know. I did what most people do. I don't know. I joined the band, but and I played the French horn, not very well, but I wanted to go and try and make some friends, since I didn't have any high school friends going to college, and it seemed like everybody else was taking a lot of people were taking a little bit of a safer route, and going places where they knew they had friends going. So for me, it was a little bit hard to sort of just jump into something that was completely unknown. And the western part of our state in Nebraska is a lot more rural. And so what I didn't realize by just going from Omaha to going out west like that is I didn't realize that people already had a preconceived notion of people who live in Omaha, Nebraska. So so some people weren't exactly friendly to city folk like myself, and a lot of people were. So I mean, it was a transition, but I loved being on my own. And once I got into the art classes there, similarly to high school, I sort of found my people, and like I said, I enjoyed it. I loved all the studio art classes, as you'd imagine. Currently, if you're in high school and you're studying art, I would just make sure you sponge as much as you possibly can from your art teachers. And I'm going to qualify that a little bit by saying, even if it's something that you're not interested in. So if you're like, well, my high school art teacher is really into ceramics, and I don't really get into ceramics. Well, I would suggest you get into ceramics and really try it out and see what you can get from that teacher, because I'm sure that whatever you get will help translate into the other things that you are interested in. And like in my undergraduate, even though I was a graphic design major, I had an amazing sculpture professor. So I got really into bronze casting. So in undergraduate, I was doing, bronze casting, figurative bronze casting, even though I was supposed to be over in the other building, doing brochures and posters. I was usually in the sculpture annex doing bronze casting, but that's because my sculpture professor was, amazing, and whatever ideas I had, he would jump in and help me. So that's the other item I might point out is whatever ideas you have, share them with your high school teachers. Even if you feel like well, you're introverted, or maybe your teacher is a little bit more introverted, or maybe you think your personalities just don't click. I would still say reach out and just share your ideas, and see if you guys can't sort of feed off each other, and he or she will help you get to where you want to go. Like I said, I would just be the biggest sponge you could possibly be. As far as art education in general, I can't imagine life without it. Art's what helps me get through the day. It's what I do. For me, to draw something is to understand it. So it's very important. I find it to be just as important as you don't think for a minute how important English and biology and some of those other disciplines are. And like I said, for me, since I'm now part of the Medical Humanities, I'm actually going in and helping med students at Creighton School of Medicine. I'm helping them to sort of create create art and and think of music and write poetry and all of the humanities. So it's very important. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.